So welcome to Writers Speak Wednesday. We have poet and alum Anthony DiPietro reading tonight from his debut collection, Kiss and Release. We're really excited to have Anthony back. It's always great to have alums come back and talk about their work and talk about the life of a writer post-MFA. And so it's great to have you here. We have two more Writers Speak events. Scott Jasky is going to be reading on April 10th, and that is co-sponsored with the Food Lab program here on Stony Brook, Southampton, and also our student reading is May 1st. So please be for that. I will give Anthony a nice formal introduction. Anthony DiPietro is a gay sex poet and arts administrator originally from Providence, Rhode Island. He has lived throughout New England and in California, New York, Oregon, and Tennessee. A graduate of Brown University with honors in creative writing. He also learned creative writing, MFA at Stony Brook University. Now deputy director of the Rose Art Museum at Brandeis University. He resides in Worcester, Mass. He composed his 2021 chapbook, A Walkthrough on a Typewriter During the Pandemic Lockdowns. I wonder if you can give us some insight on some of those typewriters over there. Kiss and Release, as I mentioned, is his debut collection. The storm has just started outside. His writing readings can be featured on his website, anthonywriters.com, and it's also a great source for information on submitting for those who are looking to submit and sort of the structure of it. His books are for sale, and he will sign them. Really, it takes him a while to think of what he's going to say, but he will sign them.
He's practiced, though. We broke the ice.
So let's welcome Anthony back.
Thank you, and thanks for having me back. I'm so excited to be back. I think I have about half an hour of material, so then plus my little stories in between. But if I'm putting you to sleep, I'll sit down sooner. I love that the rain started just when you started talking, because I wanted to start with a story. In this room, 8 years ago, Admitted Students Day 2016, I think we hadn't even really met any of the faculty yet or anything. We were just sort of gathering in here. I'm sure Joanna was the first person here, weren't you? Maybe.
I think I came the night before, yeah. We both came the night before.
So I think I walked in and Joanna was here. But it was like before anything really started that I looked out and I was like, yes, I think I can write here. I think I want to be here. And then before the day was over, I was like, on the way home, I was calling family being like, I think I'm going to go to Stony Brook. And that was really, and at the time, Julie was running the program and you were so warm and everything about the day was just, so welcoming. I was looking for a writing community and that's why I came to Stony Brook. And then Joanna and I and 4 other people were GAs, which meant that I think Joanna and I that first semester were the people who were in charge of pouring the wine and welcoming the writers and introducing the writers. And even way back then, I was like, yes, someday I want to have a book and come back and read here. So it's a full circle, and I'm very excited to be here. Filled with gratitude for it, and really excited to see Writers Speak coming back in person, and want to help you build that. I mean, there were times this room was really, really full, so it was something I always looked forward to. I don't think I missed Writers Speak like the whole time I was here, as it was a gathering place and exchange of ideas, and that chance to ask a real writer, questions. Sorry. So. Super exciting. So, like I said, I have some poems and stories in between, in about a half hour. Oh, one of the, I also wanted to share a secret about the back cover of Kiss and Release, which is, the first semester we were here, we took this magical poetry class with Julie, and I could probably list all 10 people who were in the class. Tyler Allen Finney, Lily Wan, Natalie DeCause, etc. And Julie asked us, I think on the first day, to write one image that encapsulates your work. And I wrote, and when I was putting together the cover for Kiss and Release, Miranda Beeson, who was in that class, reminded me that I wrote a marble bust of 2 men embracing, or something like that. And so she reminded me of that when I was thinking about imagery for the book. So I had AI generate a marble bust of 5 men embracing. And it didn't make it, it didn't become the book cover, but nobody will ever know this, but that is what's underneath this pink on the back.
Oh,
It's
really?
this marble bust AI generated. Yes. So you can't even really see it, but I know it's there.
Which one? I'll find all 5. And that'll be that one. Anthony! He's in the middle.
And I also remember many conversations with Julie about when it was thesis time and putting together poems I had written over the years and putting it into a manuscript, and the important jobs that the first poem in the collection play is introducing you to the world. So the poem that introduced my thesis, I also want to talk about, this book is very different from my thesis, but the poem that introduced that book is in here, but it introduces a section. So I'm going to introduce myself as a gay sex poet with the poem Unrequited Fuckboy. The way I love you is only possible because I know next to nothing about you, boy from the neighborhood. I know your eyes that look as if you wear permanent eyeliner. I love the lashes that protect them and could swat a fly from across the sunroom. I know your rules, like condoms, no exceptions. While we make love, I insist you look deep in my eyes, and if you force me to insist one more time, I may playfully slap your cheek while I whisper. What is more intimate than a whisper? What is the real reason you can't love me back? Is it your white-collar family, with their sailboat in the bay and summers on the island? Is it because I prefer the taste of artificial coconut to your unsweet, earth-safe, organic water? Mumbler, your mouth barely opens whenever you speak. Will you never make clear declarations? Will all conversations be bedroom conversations after I render you too tired to leave? But you do leave whenever I suggest you stay. Will you never stay from first whiskey until next day? Will I never write an aubade, a poem for lovers who part at dawn? The only poem I know how to write is the aubade's opposite, a fragment of two queers cruising after midnight. And yeah, there are 3 fuckboy poems in the book. No journal was brave enough to publish any of them, but they're all in the book. By the time I was writing fuckboy poems, I knew I was writing a book, and it gave me like steam to finish the book. And I came here knowing, that was another thing I wanted to do. I came here knowing that I could write longing, and I could write loss, and I could write same-sex desire. But I want to read what I came across today was looking at my thesis, my description of what the thesis was. And it says, Eros drives the poetry in this exploration of loving, sexual, and other relationships. The human longing for romantic and sexual connection comes into tension and entanglement with institutions and moral codes of society. I feel like Julie would have been like, abstract. I was still writing about, so I was writing about sex and love, but I thought of what I was writing about in this academic terms. And last fall I was actually at a writing residency when my marketing copy was due for the book. And I resaw how I saw my own work and rewrote how I talked about it. And so one paragraph from the marketing copy says, this poetry accuses, brags, confesses, obsesses, panics, and promises. It discos, raves, and swings. It falls in love during a hookup but gets bored at a 4-way. It woos the zodiac, tries to get its virginity back, invents sex as a religion, mythologizes masculinity and succumbs to its devils, kills a snake to resurrect a lover, gives a blowjob at a dirty bookstore, goes to see bad performance art, looks for love and finds it everywhere / wherever. So just a lot more energy to it, and there was a lot more energy to my writing. I started to realize what my powers were. That was the Powers of Poetry was the name of your course that I remember so fondly. So if nothing else, I came out of Stony Brook knowing what my powers were, and But, if you lean into your powers, the weaknesses start to fall away. So this became the real poem that introduces me to the world, the first poem in Kiss and Release. When I was an Uber driver, friends asked for my horror stories. I said my scariest customers were 4 young Republican lawyers, drunk from a long day of golf. Pick up at Pinebrook Country Club, heading home to Newton Highlands. The one guy looking at the back of my head had ordered the car. Each of his 3 buds stumbled across their green lawns to kiss their wives with reeking breath. After they left, my customer said, "My friends are not bad guys," which told me he thought they were real assholes. He was sorry they talked about golf versus tennis and which was a real man's sport. I said, golf is not the most important thing in life, but there are worse things you could say in someone's back seat. Very level-headed of you, he said. I like you. I'd back you for Congress. Then he asked what I thought of the gun debate. I knew not to answer. Uber driver training was only a 9-minute YouTube vid, but it distinctly said, never venture into politics or religion. Instead, I steered the conversation to where we grew up, and that's how we realized that Will and I went to the same college, him 2 years behind me. He was the one who hosted a foursome once at his dorm, all guys, and I left in the middle. I wanted the hot one for myself. The other 2 were boring. I had encountered Will one other time in the basement restroom of the research library. There was I, hard in his soft cheeks, holding his pierced ears, giving him the rhythm, his small, toothy mouth not doing a great job, but he was really trying. Part of when things started to change for me towards writing this book was I took Amy Hempel's class on prose poetry. It was like prose poem, flash fiction, or other. And pretty much we came to the conclusion very quickly, like, it sort of doesn't matter. You're just writing to write, and it's a short piece, and you kind of in and out. And so there's probably about a dozen prose poems in this book, and some of which I also made the decision to break up on the page. So that was one of the problems. Christian asked about structure and wants me to talk about structure later, but one of the problems I had to address was like, can I really build a poetry book if there's like 12 big blocks of text that I want to put in here? So I had to work around that.
Sure.
This poem is Draft Divorce Decree. Every token I have given you shall remain your property except the ring, which, let the record show, you refuse to return. But I have its twin, so that's fine. And you retain ownership rights to the world's furry bunnies and all woodland creatures, which remind me of you anyway. Permission to trade fathers is granted. Our mother's custody will be handled jointly. I must have my ancestors' burial site and the river that borders it, and all the highways in America were mine to begin with. And you shall have all railway rights. You have Lay Lake, Alabama, with the cabin and pontoon boat your parents own, and gray trees thick as an armory turret. But don't think everything south of Mason-Dixon's yours, because Virginia is for lovers, and Knoxville is the scruffy city no one loves as I do. And as for all bicycle paths, we will have to work out a signaling system. Otherwise, we will collide, and that won't do while I train myself to believe you are dead or never existed, not walking these streets where I might walk, these brick sidewalks I've walked all my life. Therefore, all of New England is mine, but you have lifetime rights to reside here, a sort of ground lease granted to you this day by me. And you can have Montreal in summer if I have the other 3 seasons, because that's fair. Amsterdam shall be yours, but I claim the right to visitation exactly twice. So all of the castles of Europe, yours, except romantic France, shall be mine to roam, unless you're on a layover or you pass through by rail. All islands of the world are also yours because I get seasick easily. Remember the drug you slipped me that doubled my vision, and you dimmed the light and kept watch. Next day came the ring, and I said I would put my life in your hands again, which I did when you drove the jet ski at Lay Lake, where I return whenever I dream a perfect place. In fact, when I find myself there, that's precisely how I know that I am dreaming. Another fond memory is a sort of writing memory that helped is, do you still do the foundation course at the first semester for all students that Carl and Bob taught? And there was a section in there about kind of how to steal like a poet. I'm sure that's not how you term it, but you know, what the ethical questions and other questions about what we do with found text or when we want to incorporate somebody else's text in our work. And I wrote a response paper that wasn't very successful, but sort of saying that everything's already been said. And I had a line in there that said, anything you want to say about love, Buddy Holly already said. Something like that. So I think I was writing this wanting to prove to myself whether that was true. So this poem that ended up in the book is actually a cento, which means all of the language is borrowed from elsewhere. And it mashes up Song of Songs, which is this beautiful love song in the Bible, love poem in the Bible, with 20 songs that came out since the year 2000. With lyrics sort of meshed into it. 21st century love song. Yellow diamonds in the light. Honey and milk under your tongue. The smell of your garments like the smell of Lebanon. Every inch of your skin a holy grail. Look, you have dove's eyes, and our bed is green. You make me feel, you make me know. Call your name 2-3 times in a row. Wake you up in the middle of the night to say, arise, my fair one, come away. I want to wake up in a different city. I will go up to the palm tree. I will take hold of its boughs. When I wrap my arms around you, every mistake we make crumbles. My arms won't be any use at all if I can't hold you. Comfort me with apples. The moon was paper white the night you saved my life. Now winter is past, the rain over and gone. Another sun-soaked season, the time of singing of birds is come. Speak on it, babe. Tell me, what do you need? I tried to be chill. My soul failed. You have ravished my heart. I look cute at the end of your leash, your adorable beast. Your hair is like a flock of goats from Mount Gilead. Your teeth like a flock of sheep which came up from the washing. I'm gonna get your heart racing in my skin-tight jeans. Let us go forth into the field. Let's see whether tender grapes appear and pomegranates bud forth. There will I give you my loves, and I'll give you the rest of me too. God is good. He took his time when he designed you, baby. Your lips like a thread of scarlet, and his banner over me was love. You talk to me and it comes off the walls. Your belly like a heap of wheat, set about with lilies by the rivers of waters, washed with milk. I used to be commander-in-chief of my pimp ship, flying high. My head is filled with dew. Oh, daughters of Jerusalem, don't wake my love, for love is strong as death. Tell the bed not to lay like the open mouth of a grave. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. When I was 2.5, my mama said to me, love is funny, you will laugh, till the day you turn 3. This poem I want to read, it's actually the last poem I wrote for the book, and maybe I could tell the story more, maybe it makes more sense to tell the story later when we're talking, but there was a poem in here that was critical of wealthy gay friends of mine and poking fun a little bit, and then at the end I tried to subvert it a little bit, looked like a silly line about myself, but it was really, it wasn't working, and I knew something about the poem wasn't working, and so I needed to, and this was one of the things I learned at Stony Brook as well, is like, you have to implicate yourself. You can't, it's virtue signaling otherwise if you just, critiquing other people. So at like the 11th hour when we were past editing stage, I ended up writing this poem, and I'm fond of it. And I called it Career Planning for Young Poets. Darling, when we were 19, the question, what do you do, had no answer. And you went away to India to dig maggots from forgotten street dogs' wounds before they rotted. I stayed home to see about a job and got to see American Pie the weekend it came out. I stayed and opened my first credit card and bought a bus ticket for Rome, New York for Woodstock 99. You got used to mud and learned to kill chickens, and I went for the music. Okay, I went for the first boy I didn't know I loved, who loved alt rock. Okay, I did it for that monster truck guitar hook from that damn good song, My Own Worst Enemy. We couldn't know. Generals somewhere smoked fat cigars and planned wars for your men to go fight. I figured if I bragged of my first blowjob, I myself could sidestep combat. I consumed as my patriotic duty. Okay, I ate for comfort and got an eating disorder. I stayed home so someone could say hi to your parents whenever I swam in their green pool at night. Nothing was certain except it would kill us to become them. I was boring and thought you a hypocrite who loved every place you went and cared nothing for people because they can't love the planet and your gods, the animals and trees. And I only felt free when I bought my first car loan. Our love then, not so much fragile as untested. And now the world sees me richer than you. I own a piece of rock in the city's cross-hatched lots, and you work clearing trails. I pay my taxes and deduct my debt. I separate my waste and compost bones and seeds and try to take the stairs. My bicycle rusts, and I write in my head en route to the office. And sweetie, I can't even drive my hybrid to the country to see you without stopping off the highway to buy latte and a scone. Another important poem in this book is a kind of a cycle with 11 parts, but I broke it up in a different way in the book. It's called Love is Finished Again, which is from a Yehuda Amichai poem. I don't know if people know Yehuda Amichai is like the national poet of Israel, and he wrote political poems, love poems, personal poems, and so this poem is his original Love is Finished Again. Is sort of like three stanzas, little vignettes. And it somehow got stuck in my head, and I just started writing these metaphors for what it's like when love is finished again. And it became sort of a spine for the book. So I broke it up in different sections and called them movements in the book. So this is Love is Finished Again, the second movement. Like, if you stand in shadow and keep still while the sun travels, you will once again be kissed by sun. Or if you stand in a puddle, the sun will dry it if you wait. And if you turn a right corner 4 times, you will come back to the point where you began. Finished. Love. Just like that. Like opening a mirrored cabinet on your left and another mirror on your right to create the infinity mirror effect. Or like being penniless right before payday and then your bank balance rebounds. Love is finished like that. Love is finished again, 6th movement. Like one violin that cries a string of notes is always joined by a partner violin, extending the cry, while one violin takes a break to breathe. The wind comes off the strings as off a body of water. Love is finished, love begins, taking over from another love. I think I told all the little stories I want to tell, but I promised to read the opening poem for my thesis, which, as I said, opens a section here. This title is also stolen from a U2 song lyric. Love is a temple, love the higher law. Like an unwashed tongue, the road rolls toward me in a way. At 70 mph, I'm giving a concert at top volume. A magnitude of blood crawls in my temples and leadens my head. Bowed low with new weight, though my back has been hunched in a sob 7 years, and my bowels shake because I have taken the dense blue pill, which will eat the virus if it managed to breach my skin. Last time I pulled a man down in my lap to feel my love inside out, like the Bee Gees sang. In sex ed, I paid attention on disease day. They said it is smaller than any bacterium. Now, every time I swallow my own saliva, I wonder, is my swallow normal or inflamed? If no infection, but glands swollen, it could be the flu that warns new converts with HIV 6 weeks after it starts, making as many molecular copies as the body has cells. There is no way the human mind can visualize a trillion. This dark lullaby also vibrated in my ears the day at 15 I left the house, the yard, the family, like a stray electron, broke free from its compound. I was young, but I knew how a man demolishes his wife or children, or self-destructs, pointing at his head before he raises the wrecking ball or hammer or shotgun slug. Oh love, oh God, oh man, I'm gonna come a distance greater than any ache, carrying in this body one infection to give you with my love. I know you can taste how I decided that day to go on living as long as I could. And yet the male ejaculate on skin is the cleanest smell there is. It is the closest thing a man alone can make to a newborn child. That poem was important because it was the first poem where I didn't use punctuation. And there were, I saw that there were clauses that could belong to the sentence before, the sentence after, and I said, I want to experiment with this. So at one point I wanted to write the whole book with no punctuation. And Cornelius Eady said in class once, some people think poems don't need punctuation, so I was like really intrigued by that. So I decided to strip the punctuation out of every poem in this book that could survive without it, which issues a challenge to the reader because they have to make sentences and they have to decide, does this clause go here or there? But it also it multiplies the possibilities of meaning. So that was something that really excited me. So I may be answering one of your questions about punctuation. The last poem I'll read from Kiss and Release, and I would love to share something new I'm working on after this, if that's okay. This is also a prose poem. So, we graduated. My class graduated in May of 2019. We did our thesis. We finished our thesis in December 2018. But when that spring semester of 2018 was over, we were looking for jobs and scattered to the four winds from this point. And I went to residency in North Carolina, and I worked on a memoir for 2 weeks. So I wasn't working on my thesis. And then I discovered while working on this memoir, and the last day there, I discovered some emails from the partner I had my whole 20s, and he's no longer with us. And reading these emails that were from the first few weeks that we ever met. So I promptly wrote this poem and left and never worked on the memoir again. It's still there somewhere. I'll come back to it someday. This prose poem is called Resurrection Spell. Begin with a spiral mountain road with no end, its curves a familiar smooth drive. One morning my mind is composing a theory of body as more than bone, as a series of rooms configured vertically, all hung together by bakery string. Seeing only a stick, I roll my tires neatly over what becomes a black snake. Fact, black snakes are harmless. What's the mathematics of surface area pressure? What is the weight of this car? Last night on a rainforest walk, an unseen blackbird took flight, abruptly shoved off his thick green cover to flee. My body's response, blood fear. A chemical reminder I'm animal first. My mother's mother sat at the bedside of great-grandma Camilla and knew the hour she'd die. Camilla tried to leave her bed, pleading, needing to touch feet to ground one more time. This woman in a hospital bed did not mean tile. She meant black soil. And I spend hours conjuring my first love, charming him back from the dead with words he left me. I could touch his black hair again while he smiles with bloodshot eyes. When last I saw him, his body was simply slack weight, a deflated membrane his mother would sponge wash. Fact, a snake run over slithers back into the greenery soundlessly, not even curling its tongue. Fact, its vertebrae are cracked, its ribs are crushed. Its injury will be lethal, but not right away. I'll still be driving home, radio loud, raising songs that bring my baby back alive. A snake in this kind of pain takes a long time with its dying. So as I said, I'm already at work on another collection. When the book was taken, I was like, I can't do my submissions anymore. Everything is going in the book. So I have a nice problem to have. I have to write some new poems and get them published. And so in this new collection I'm working on, I had one idea about what I wanted to write about, but I soon, I wrote like one poem that used this persona, the god of love, and then I was only writing poems that used this persona, the god of love. So right now the working title of the project is The God of Love is a Battlefield. And you heard that I like pop music and stuff. So this poem is different from a lot of what I've read because it doesn't have plot, and a lot of the other stuff that I'm writing with the God of Love, very character-driven collection. Because this is just sort of like playing with language. So this poem is called "What's God of Love Got to Do with It?" And there are short sections that each one has its own title. Making God of love out of nothing at all. Cool electric God of love is thicker than water. The God of love is strong. The God of love is surrender. The God of love is all around. At the pier, in the shadows, is blue. The God of love is in the air, is like oxygen. God of love don't cost a thing. The God of love shack has no pride. The God of love is blindness. Next section, I want to know what God of love is. What about the God of love? What is God of love? Vision of, prove your God of love. I would do anything for the God of love, but I won't do that. Won't forget, can't regret what I did for the God of love. Naughty girls need the God of love too. And you give good God of love power, the power of love, glory of God of love, in the name of the God of love. Section is called Put a Little God of Love in Your Heart. Looking for a new God of love? Look up for my God of love. Lay all your God of love on me. God of love song to a stranger, will you still God of love me tomorrow? Friday I'm in God of love. Hooked on your God of, hold on to my, hang on to your God of love. This God of love will last. God of love's made a fool of you. The God of love will keep us together. All you get from God of love is a God of love song. The God of love you madly want to be your daddy. Justify my God of love on the rocks of love hangover, of love potion number 9. The God of love sneaking up on you. Are you ready for God of love? Comes quickly. God of love goes to a building on fire. Reckless God of love don't love you. He bites, he hurts. Bleeding God. Only God of love can hurt like this God of love. You give God of love a bad name. Is our God of love triangle? God of strange love. Tainted God of love stinks. Tie our God of love in a double knot. Jump from my God of love. Turn your God of love around. The God of love will lead you back. Will never do without you. God of I will always God you. Damn, I wish I was your God of love. The God of love ain't love. The God of love is a battlefield. When God of love and God of hate collide, bye-bye God of all out of God. If it's not God of love, then it's the bomb. The bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb, the bomb that will bring us together. Yeah.